Hello, my friends. This is Coach Lucy from theflyingarcher.com, sponsored by New England School of Archery and Supplies. I have an amazing guest here today, Lee Ford. Hey, Lee.
Hi, Lucy.
Hey, Lee is a former Paralympic Team USA member, still 16th in the U.S. in able-bodied women. Lee's been shooting since a kid, but his dad didn't think that 3D was ladylike. And you guys, if you don't know what 3D is, you'll hear about that in a little bit. Had he known about target archery then, Lee would have been stuck wearing white while shooting. But you started doing target archery in 2008, and about 3 years after her injury, when her friend Stephanie wanted to get her out of the house and away from a toxic relationship. And Lee said... Actually, no, sorry, it's your friend said, let's go to the welding shop and shoot arrows. Yep. And that is when your first archery club had practices in the winter. And then they handed Lee an Olympic recurve bow because she'd only been shooting compound bows, bare bow fingers before. And they let her loose, and she was hooked. All right, Lee. Hey, Lee. I just gave a little info about you. Oh, yeah, you grew up in Philadelphia, and you now live in Georgia.
Yep.
Which is wicked awesome.
Yep.
So, with that just little background that I gave you, can you give us a little intro and background about yourself?
Sure. I grew up in Philadelphia and was, a classically trained dancer, for years. And after high school, I decided to get into speed skating. And
wow.
Yeah, because, as you do. So, which is kind of, the reason why I've had, 4 spine surgeries now. Because it wasn't really a good mix with my bone and soft tissue issues that I have. So, speed skating had to kind of stop, and I wound up moving down to Georgia, and, so when I got back into dance, and I was a belly dancer, and then it was like, oh, fire performing. I must try this, and
Fire performing,
just doing everything from, fire breathing to, fire handling tricks, fire poi, dancing, dancing with fire. I have this belt made out of bicycle chain that has torches welded to it. So, you don't even have to do anything. You put the belt on, you wiggle a little bit, and the torches move all around, and it looks extremely impressive. And you're just like, wow, just don't set myself afire, and you're going to have a good time. And I was taking Kung Fu, so I'm halfway through the Amin Bostepi martial arts system with Wing Chun Kung Fu. And I love that it's Wing Chun Kung Fu, because Wing Chun in Cantonese actually means beautiful springtime. So
wow.
And it was a system that was created by a woman for women to use. And all of this came crashing to a halt when my disc in my lower back ruptured. It was just like a huge catastrophic failure and crushed the nerves that go to my left leg. Mm-hmm. So my leg was paralyzed, screaming like I got shot, rushed to the hospital, spent a week in the hospital. My sister tells me later that the surgeon said, oh, she has a 50-50 chance of walking again. Which, luckily nobody told me, because I'm like, I got to get up and I got to move. And, I really thank that very active background and especially, the dance to enable me to walk again and walk as well as I do, even though I have, significant nerve damage still. It's never really healed, and so I can fake it really good because I was a dancer, and so I was pretty much, that was the state I was in when I first got dragged to the welding shop, and there was a Steph said, hey, let's go to the welding shop. We'll shoot arrows. I was like, well, that makes perfect sense to me. Let's go to the welding shop. It's like, what?
I like flames, but yeah.
I was like, okay, I know how to weld, but we'll see how this goes. And the owner of the shop was a member of the club, and he was an archer. And so into one whole wall of the shop, he had built target bales. So you could just he had this whole amazing arrangement. It was just part of the wall, and so you could hang cardboard up and then hang up target faces and shoot. You just kind of move the machinery out of the way for Saturday mornings, and this is where Kennesaw Archery had their Saturday practices during the winter. Their outdoor facility was gorgeous, beautiful wooded, very bucolic scene. And then you go to this welding shop and, you're constantly filthy and you're like, don't wear anything light colored to the welding shop. And, but it was the first time I'd ever shot with a sight on a bow, a stabilizer. I had never shot a recurve before, but oh my gosh, it was so much fun. I mean, I couldn't hit the broadside of a barn if I was in it, but I was just loving this new way to shoot, and I was hooked, and that became our girlfriend time. We'd go Saturday mornings, go hang out, shoot a bow, and come back, have some tea, and then, do the rest of our weekends. And it was great.
Well, I want to let our listeners know that you can still hold on to the steering wheel, because this is going to be an amazing podcast. And I will be taking notes, and they will be on our show notes on theflyingarcher.com. And Lee, can you tell us about what is your favorite bow to shoot?
My favorite bow? I'd have to say my PSC. I love my PSC.
Well, actually, I meant like recurve, compound.
I love recurve. I do. I love recurve. I think it's challenging. It's very challenging physically. It's very challenging mentally. And it's very beautiful. It's very graceful. To see someone shoot, beautiful shots over and over and over again. I mean, it's thrilling to me to watch. So, I mean, I really just love recurve. I just think it's, it's just so pretty to me. I guess that would apply to longbow too, and self bows and everything that, where you have to be physical with the bow. Your physicality has to, match, or keep up with the bow that you're shooting. So I just find that really just compelling.
You started with a compound, though.
I did. My dad had given me, it was a Jennings Lightning, when I was 14.
What a cool name.
I know. And it's from Bear, which is, like one of the, the oldest archery companies that we have in the States. And, we shot a lot of 3D, up in Pennsylvania. And we didn't know from target archery. I mean, we knew 3D, we knew, kind of field. But, I think he really was just not liking me out shooting him, or the fact that his little girl's hanging out with all these guys and they're all just like want to be guys in the woods and stuff. And he's just like, no, this isn't ladylike, But so I would get to shoot here and there, and I had that bow until a few years ago when I gave it to a student as a gift, because he was just enamored with it, and so he shoots it along with his own recurve. But he's a pretty special kid who was kind of on the spectrum disorder, and archery has totally changed him, and the love that this kid has shown me was just phenomenal. I'm like, here, this is, oh, dang it, girl emotions. I wanted him to have that so that he would always be able to understand that his love of archery could take a break, like mine did, but it would always be there for him.
It's archery is very powerful. It tends to, just totally bring people up to a new level, inspire them, bring courage, enlighten them in ways I guess a lot of sports do, but I've really see it in archery. It sounds like that happened with this kid.
Oh yeah, I mean, and I've had a couple of kids who are there's like, oh well, he's Asperger's or he's spectrum disorder, and I put a bow in their hands and I'm like, okay, you have to listen to me. This is what's going to happen, and their parents are just amazed by, I can't believe he focused like that. I don't know how he responds to you. He let you, I ruffle the kids. I can't believe he let you touch him. I'm like, well, of course, I'm not treating him any different than I'm going to treat any of the other kids. And for me, archery is the great equalizer. And for, people who, the rest of us, if you, who do archery, you really kind of have to work out your issues with yourself and your world if you want to be a good archer. Because I'm sure, like in Jim's podcast, talking about the mental game, how much of archery is mental. Archery is 90% mental and the other 50% is physical kind of joke that we have. And
he surprised me when he said that, because not that I wasn't surprised by it, but that he said that because when I've worked with him and all my archery, it's been all about form. I mean, and talking a little bit about mental, but we don't really go and spend an hour really, well, let's sit and meditate for an hour. Add that into your routine kind of thing.
For me, archery is meditation. I find it sometimes it's the only way I can shut my busy brain off. And that quote is actually a quote. I want to say it's from a football coach, one of the famous football coaches. Where he talked about, either football, baseball. I don't know, one of those team sport thingies.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell I'm an archer?
Yeah.
About the 90% mental and 50% physical, but and it's true. It's so true. I mean, you have to. If you want to shoot well under pressure in a competition, you have to have your little mental ducks all lined up. The butterflies in the stomach have to be flying in formation. You're allowed to have them, but they let them fly. Let them fly their little selves out, but they fly in formation. They got to go the direction you want them to go. So. Archery is really good for working out your crap, as it were. I really don't see a lot of angry archers, and if you do see them, they don't stay in archery very long. So which is kind of why the archery crowd is such a great group of people, because they're for the most part they're pretty chill. And they have dealt with their inner selves, so to speak, because, if you don't, you're not going to shoot well. If you're competing, a local level, whatever, it doesn't matter. You've got to have to start, keeping that brain going in the direction you want it to go.
How do you do that when you're up there on the shooting line and something distracts you and it kind of gets to you?
Well, I have my little teapot song, Coach.
You want to sing it to us?
Sure.
Okay.
Nah.
You don't have to if you don't want to.
No, it's okay. But I didn't come up with this. Some kids from the junior dream team came up with it. Coach Lee, the other Coach Lee, Coach Kissick Lee, the national head coach, has snatched onto this song as a way to have archers know the order of what they need to do, when they need to do it, and you're never going to forget, because all American kids, this how to sing "I'm a Little Teapot," and
Yep.
so I'm a little teapot, short and stout, which is your stance. You get your posture and your stance. This is my handle. This is my spout. You have your hook and your grip. Load, anchor, transfer. Hear me shout, and hear me shout's kind of when you aim, and it's kind of hear me shout, tip me over and pour me out, and that's your follow through, and so I kid you not, every Saturday when I have my students, we sing the teapot song.
That's awesome.
With our stretch bands. We have our stretch bands. We make a circle and we're shooting into the center, and and if I don't hear it, I'm like, I'm sorry, what, and I get different people to lead. Okay, you start us off, sing the help. You're going to start this teapot song, and so that, if there's trouble on the line, it's like, oh, I'm struggling with this. And I was like, all right, well, let's sing the teapot song. Let's see what's going on. And, oh, that's what I wasn't doing. Okay. Oh, this is great. It works so much better. And Coach Kissick swears that you will never have target panic as long as you can sing the little teapot song. And I'm pretty sure he's right, because my sister is one of my students, and she's my older sister by 7 years. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
She and when our mother, after she had me, she was very ill for a long time. So my sister basically raised me. I have a flat spot on the back of my head from being dragged around from room to room in one of those little baby bouncy things that you put on the floor and you can bounce the baby in. Yep. Because she was 7. She's not going to be able, tote a baby around. But, she would bring me around and so I have long hair to kind of hide my big flat spot on my head. So imagine the roles are now reversed and I'm in charge. Yep. I've got the whistle and, she's got to listen to me. And she was having some mental game things, I could see her on the line, just like, in a panic, literally in a panic, like shaking and what do we do? And, letting down. And once we introduced the teapot song, it fixed it for her. She used to take forever to get all her arrows off because she would sing the teapot song in between every arrow. And I'm like, dude, you're going to just pick this up just a smidge because you're pushing the clock. You're making me nervous. Which is really the pot and the kettle black, because I used to push the clock, because I used to have some target panic issues. So I would just, wait until I had, 2 minutes to shoot 6 arrows and, okay, you got to go. Let's go. But I don't have that either. I finish well before, the clock, because, I know what to do. This is what I'm a little teapot. I'm short and stout. This is my handle. This is my spout. I load, anchor, transfer, and, you get to holding. Hear me shout, tip me over and pour me out. And if I'm pushing the clock, it's because I didn't get to the line on time because my, cripple butt just couldn't get back from the bathroom fast enough, so, I love the teapot song. It's really helped. I think a lot of people in my club, really just, boom, they've got the form, they get going, they're shooting, they're having a blast. And for my advanced shooters, it's, who are competing, they're like, they don't have to worry about what they have to do because they got a little song. It's mnemonics are great things. And to have this mnemonic of this little, the little teapot song, is fabulous. And at the coach symposium last year, because it's 2016 now, yes, last year, you had this huge room that, and Coach Lee was talking about the Teapot song, and he had the cartoon on the big screen, and what is it, 50 of us, 50 coaches, and I'm probably one of the youngest people in the room.
Yep.
And he's got him singing the Teapot song over and over and over and over again.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was like, oh man, I wish I had video of this. But if people want to look online, there's a lot of video of the Junior Dream Team and the Junior Dream Team coaches singing the Teapot song, and I highly recommend it if anybody's having issues. You might not want to sing the Teapot song, but you might want to have some other song that, each part of the song reminds you what step to do in the form, and boom, I'm shooting an arrow. Yay!
Yay, and what's great about that is it takes your mind off of whatever you're thinking about and just refocuses it, because you can only think of one thought at a time.
Exactly. You can only think of one thing at a time. So I can't think of, did I leave the iron on? I got to buy bread when we get out of here. No, you're thinking.
Who's that person thinking of me over there?
Are people staring? God, can I do this? I'm so scared. Don't even get me started about being, score oriented and my score's not good enough. Blah blah blah. No, I'm a little teapot, short and stout. This is my handle. This is my spout. Coach Lee is just a brilliant, brilliant man, and I truly respect him on so many levels. Being able to have, and I got to have, maybe, a half hour with him alone at the training center once. And it was just like, okay, now my mind is blown. I need to take a nap and absorb all this. But immediately took it to the range and went back out shooting and going, oh yes, I like this. This is great. And, so he's the man, as it were. He is the man.
Yeah. With Olympic Coach Lee, it's like 10 minutes with him is like an hour of concentration. Yes.
Eat your Wheaties. I recommend not just some carbo loading, but a whole lot of protein, because your brain is just going to be sucking up the calories.
He impresses me too. I was at the Junior Dream Team camp as a coach observer, and I needed to go use the restroom, and I walked out, and he was actually on Skype with his wife, Mrs. Lee, who I've actually met before, because and I think they're looking at like the little ones in Australia. And
I know, they're so cute.
Oh, they are. And he invited me over, and he's like, when I was saying hi to Mrs. Lee, I'm like, oh, this is just so cool. Made me feel like family,
He's so sweet. He's just like the really nicest person. He's genuinely a beautiful soul, and it really comes out in everything that he does. Even when he gets cranky at there's some sort of problem and he gets upset, he is still one of the most beautiful souls I've ever met.
I went there. I went and I took. I don't remember why I was at the Olympic Training Center again, but I was there. And,
as you do.
And he saw me, and he recognized me, and I was like, how many coaches do you work with? I'm like, oh my God, you saw me, gave me a hug, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, he's awesome like that, and we are so lucky to have him as our head coach. We really are. He is just a blessing to USA Archery. It's just, the way that the culture of the coaching has changed, and how, everything runs and everything. I mean, we're just super, super lucky to have him, That's what I think. That's my 2 cents.
Where have you traveled for competition as an archer or as a coach?
Oh, gosh. Well, from the wilds of South Dakota.
From the wilds of South Dakota. I love it.
Yes. Yeah. Well, if you've got to make the pilgrimage to Yankton.
Yankton.
I was like, who possesses to put this awesome archery facility in the middle of nowhere? I mean, it's easier to get to my middle of nowhere than their middle of nowhere. It's pretty funny. But I've been all over the United States. I've been to England a lot. England being the birthplace of the Paralympic movement and everything.
Oh, really?
Really, really.
I didn't know that.
A lot of people don't. The last London Olympics, 1948. Dr. Oh God, I can never say his name. It's Goodfried or Goodfried. I'm terrible, but he was in charge of the hospital at Stoke Mandeville, where all the veterans were, and there wasn't really, you had a lot of veterans with incredibly disabling injuries from World War II who were there, and it's not like the wheelchairs and things that we have today. I mean, things were pretty rough.
It was rough. Yeah.
But when the 48 games were going on, he had the first wheelchair games. And the first Paralympic sport was archery. So.
Really?
Really, really. It was archery. There's pictures of it, and you're like, oh my gosh.
That's so cool.
You go there, and there's a statue of him, and it's life-size, and it's on this big pedestal, because he was a little guy, little German doctor. And he, because, if you had a couple hands, you could shoot a bow. You can shoot a bow sitting down. I shoot my bow sitting down. And it's like going to Mecca if you're a Paralympic archer. I mean, it's pretty amazing. And so eventually, the Paralympic movement grew until you had the first Paralympic Games in 1960 in Athens. So, and archery.
What a place to have it in Athens.
I know. And archery has always been in the Paralympic program, not like the Olympic program where archery took a big long hiatus up until, gosh, what was it, like the 70s or 80s? And the archery came back in the Olympics. But yeah, archery is the first Paralympic sport. It was pretty fun because it won us a trivia contest when we had our it's like a media thing for when you go to London. We were going to London, and the USOC's got us, doing this stuff and trying to make sure we know what our motto is. And Paralympic mottos were spirit in motion, and the agitos are Latin shorthand for I move, I move, I move. And so like, what was the first archery? I was like, oh, it's like, dude, you're in a room full of Paralympic archers. Yeah, we got that question. All right, moving on. So it's pretty funny. So besides England, let's see, Italy, Thailand, Bangkok was amazing.
What was amazing about Bangkok?
Well, food.
Okay.
Sorry. You know how Archer's favorite shape is round, as you rub your belly.
I grew up at like swimming, and if you watch the swimmers and you look at the archers, there's the build is a little different.
Build's a little bit different, yeah. You need that kind of stability to kind of keep yourself, stable in the wind. You know, you need a little bit of solidness, do you?
Yeah. Little roundness.
A little bit of roundness. I'm a little teapot, short and stout. What do you want me to do?
It's cool because it shows that it's like you can be whatever shape.
You can be whatever shape. Absolutely.
You might want to be a little bit in shape because you'll do a lot of walking, and if you're, you can outdo somebody if you're in better shape. But
some cardio is good. You know, helps keep the heart rate down when you're under pressure and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Some weightlifting.
There's no pressure there, right?
No whatsoever. But actually, I really liked Bangkok because we went in the end of October and beginning of November, and so it was kind of their cooling off time, but before the monsoon season. Georgia had just cooled off, and where I live in Georgia, it's hot. It's so hot. Training for London, I was trying to shoot. They had found me this grass airstrip where it was a private airstrip and a lot of houses and hangars along the road, and then there's a airstrip behind it, and then pecan orchards all around it. But along the side, it was flat and, could shoot. And we had shade structure up so that I didn't die of heat prostration from practicing all day. I should have been practicing in a meat locker because I was not prepared for the cold in London. and London, I knew London was chilly, but it turns out, that summer, it was the Olympics, the Paralympics, Queen's Jubilee. It was apparently the coldest summer that they'd had for something like 40 years. It was chilly. I'm a summer sport for a reason.
I'm a summer sport for a reason.
I'm a lizard who likes to bake on a rock kind of person. So when we got to Thailand, I was like, oh my God, it's so hot and humid. This is awesome. So, funny story. We're at the practice field, which is outside the stadium, and it's where the Thai national teams, their Olympic and Paralympic teams, practice together. And it's kind of in the middle of the city, and it's AstroTurf on top of concrete. And so the people who are disabled, they have these little stand-up scooter things, and you twist the little handle and off you go. And the one guy was like, you really need one of these so you can, practice and get your arrows. I'm like, yes, I do. But how am I going to get home from Bangkok? So we're practicing, and so this in this practice stadium, and we're going to get arrows. And my friend Kinga's like, hey, Lee, do you have a sport bra on? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, well, we can tell because the sweat has stuck to your shirt in the exact outline of your sport bra. I'm like, oh. Because we had T-shirts for that trip. We didn't actually have wicking shirts. There was some problems with Sochi and getting us uniforms, and so we wound up at the very last minute getting some T-shirts. And T-shirts in that kind of weather, it's just not
cotton.
Cotton, not a good mix. Not a good mix. So she's like, yeah, we can tell. I can just see everything else. I'm like, oh, great, thanks, appreciate it. Because I love being hot, but I sweat like a pig. So it's like, okay, fine. There's my sport bra. At least I have one on, okay. But it was hot, and a lot of the Europeans were definitely falling out, and when I go to Rio, I know it's going to be an advantage for me because it's going to be hot, and I'm going to be in heaven. I loved it. I did really well.
Oh yeah, you're going to be in your element.
Oh yeah, I did really well in Bangkok, And the one fun thing about Georgia is that we do night shoots.
Really?
Yeah, we do night shoots. You have a soccer field, got the soccer lights, and the sun's down. The sun is mercifully down.
Thank God.
Thank God the sun's going down. This is great. But so the one night shoot we have is called The Night the Lights Come On in Georgia. So it's a really cute little play on a movie title, and so I've done night shoots. It's hot, steamy, shooting in the dark, stadium lights on, and so we wound up. The quarterfinals were getting really late, and we're in the stadium now competing, and I'm up against the number 2 seed, and I'd had an incident where somebody hit me during opening ceremonies, and my cane jammed up into my arm, and I jammed my shoulder, so I went from second in the ranking to like 14th by the time it was done, because my shoulder was just gave out. It was just not happy, and I'd never had problems with my bow shoulder before, so I was really just like, I don't understand what's going on. So I'm having to pretty much scramble my way back up, and so I'm up against the number 2 seed. It's dark. The stadium lights are on. It's hot, and I'm like, you know what? This is just like the night the lights come on in Georgia, and I just killed it. It was awesome, and so and it was one of the, I think only a couple of us made it through the quarterfinals at World Championships that trip. So it was just really it really made me feel like I was at home, and so Bangkok was just really good to me, and we met awesome people. I'm Buddhist, so I got to see the Grand Temple and the palace, and the sightseeing, and just going. I got to see the Temple of the Emerald Buddha, and there's monks over here chanting, and I'm just like, I can feel the holy. This is awesome. And
oh wow.
It was amazing. So the architecture and people, and I mean, it was just and we stayed at a really nice hotel that fed us like they thought we were starving children. So I mean, it was just a great trip going to Bangkok.
So once you realized, your shoulder was hurting, how did you mentally not get, or did you get mad at yourself about it, or how did you stay focused?
I kind of look back to Coach Randy, and she's just like, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do the best I can. It's, arrows are hitting the dirt, and I'm like, oh, craptastic. And and this is pre-teapot song, but I'm just like, I'm just gonna, I've been through so much pain. I've been through a lot. This isn't gonna stop me. I know what true horrible pain is. I can keep going through this, and I just pushed through. And I really just depended on the form that Jim White and I had gone over so many times, and luckily I had always had a really strong bow arm, and so I think having that was just really my saving grace, that I could just push through that ranking round and get it done, and then luckily I didn't do team rounds. I bowed out. I'm like, no, thanks, but no. The one teammate she didn't want to do it. She was nervous. She was really scared. I'm like, dude, well, how are you going to get experience about doing it, if you don't go ahead and do it? you're doing me a favor. I can't shoot. I need to rest my arm. I'm no joke. You need to do this for you. And she did, and she got the experience, and and then it wasn't so scary for her anymore. And then, I had that break of, was it an extra day to kind of just keep icing it and before we had to start doing head-to-head eliminations. So yeah, it's when it
really is an inner journey.
Yeah, yes. When I think about how many times I've almost died because of my Crohn's disease, almost died as an infant, which I don't remember. I do remember the couple of times as an adult, being hospitalized and just wishing I was dead because it would hurt less. Having, my shoulder hurts, you suck it up,
Yeah.
I could spend my life on my couch and not do anything that might hurt me or anything or make me worse, but is that going to be a life worth living? Oh, hell no. I'm a person who moves. I love to move. I love to be active. I love doing stuff. And so I'm not going to let pain stop me from doing what I love to do, because then I'm letting the pain dictate who I am instead of me dictating who I am.
But you're also taking care of yourself. There's some people who will do stuff through pain, but that might actually injure them even way more.
You have to kind of know when is it pain because it's an injury that needs attention, or is it chronic pain that it's not going to go away no matter what you do? I mean, pain is a signal that something is wrong. But when you have nerve damage pain, I have this little friend, and he is called the ice pick gnome, and he decides to stab me in my nerve damaged leg whenever he feels like it. I have no control over it. I have no warning. And then it'll be literally being stabbed in the foot or the leg or somewhere, and just, stop everything, scream, and wait for it to pass, and then it's gone. So, I mean, there's a difference between, and I'm a terrible example because I do push through when something hurts when I probably shouldn't. So it's a lot of do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
But it's don't if it kind of hurts, but maybe is it hurting for a reason that maybe it's a form thing, that it's oh, hey, now I'm doing it this way, now it doesn't hurt anymore, thanks coach. Or it's you need to go get and go visit the doctor, get a cortisone shot, and take a week off. You need to go take care of yourself. I mean, there's different kinds of pain. As a connoisseur, if you will, of the different levels and types. My most recent, my voice is a little weird right now because of I had a cervical spine fusion, and they go in through the front, so they really just kind of shove everything to the side, and so my vocal cords have taken a hit.
You sound great though.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm constantly sipping water so that I keep my voice while we're talking. But compared to my two lumbar fusions, it's oh, this is so much better. In terms of the actual bones themselves hurting so much less. the first 3 days of trying to swallow pills when you can't swallow your own spit, that was cruel. But after that, it's been a lot easier than I was thinking it was going to be, and I'm pretty happy about it, but in terms of pain, do as I say, not as I do. If it hurts, stop, figure out why it hurts, and is it because of, you have something chronically wrong? Do you have a form issue do you need to work on, and kind of move on from there.
So you were in the Paralympics in London.
Yes.
What was that like?
I highly recommend it. If you can just go and see the Olympics or the Paralympics, go. But if you have a chance to be in it, I totally recommend doing so. It was life altering.
Really? How?
Well, I'm an Olympian. I am always going to be an Olympian. No matter what happens with my classification status or anything, it can never take that from me. I got to open a Braves game a couple years ago with my friend John McCullough, who has unfortunately passed. He was sick with cancer, no clue. He passed a couple months after this. And a gentleman who was one of the first African American judo competitors for the United States, and this was back in I want to say the 60s. It was a long time ago, and they kept announcing us as former Olympians and Paralympians. And I went up to and stuff hadn't really started yet, and so I went up to the one person, and I'm like, "Could you do me a favor? Could you tell the announcer that we're not former anything? We are always Olympians and Paralympians." And they're like, "Oh," and they changed the announcement after that, and because it's true, it's like once you're an Olympian, you are always an Olympian. You might not be an actively competing athlete, but you're always going to be a Paralympian. So, how London changed me. I was a nervous wreck leading up to the head-to-head competitions. I mean, I was just like, what am I going to do? And once, we were in like the stadium part where the crowd was, that performer gene, I think, kind of kicked in, and I went, "Oh yeah, this is my house."
Oh, nice.
And it was the most beautiful feeling, short of having my daughter, that I have ever experienced. It was truly amazing. It was humbling. I mean, I got to meet people from so many countries dealing with disabilities and everybody, the disability game when you're in a group of disabled people is like, you have to do this? Oh God, that's horrible. And someone thinks about your disability like, you have to do that? Oh my God, that's horrible. I can never do that.
Wow.
It's always funny, we always think, other people's are worse than our own. And what we have, things that we have to deal with. I mean, I saw a guy who is an amputee, looks like a congenital amputee from Africa, who used a stick instead of, say, a set of crutches or something. He had a big, long, stout stick, and that's how he got around, with, missing the lower part of his leg. I mean, I was just blown away. But, yeah, it was pretty amazing. So, I mean, if you can get through that, you can get through anything. And I feel like it gave me a lot of confidence in myself. And, oh God, what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? It's so
personal growth.
Yeah, personal growth. Like you know, I ascended to a higher level of coping. It's like, dude, you know, I got through this. I can handle this. You know, it's like, don't sweat the small stuff, because it's now all small stuff. Kind of thing. Yeah, it was.
I when I was at the Olympic Training Center in, I just forgot the Colorado Springs.
Okay.
Which is where the resident athletes are for Paralympic.
Well, it depends on which sport. There are Paralympic track and field is at Chula Vista.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, so you have Paralympic track and field and Olympic track and field there, and I think Colorado Springs has really just about everybody else. Excuse me, I'm going to blow my nose from all those girly emotions a minute ago. Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay. I hadn't seen anybody at Chula Vista, but I had in Colorado Springs.
Uh-huh.
And, going into, because, when you go to these events as a coach observer myself, or taking a class with Olympic coaches, we eat among the Olympians in the cafeteria and other groups that may be coming in using the facilities. And I was like, this is like so how it should be out in the world. People say on crutches, in wheelchairs, just moving about with the confidence that these people who exhibit, who exhibit, people who have gone through whatever and for whatever reason don't have a leg or an arm or whatever, and I know that they've had that person has had to go through more to get to their dream to be there than to me to anything that I've done. And I just, gosh, whenever I go there, I'm so inspired just by being around people who have had to go through a lot more, but have risen. I mean, they're just like confident and just like I love it.
We have to work so much harder than Olympians. I mean, you're training. You have a training schedule. You got work, school. You've got a lot of stuff to do with family, home, and all that stuff. Oh wait, but first let's get past the disability thing. And I wish that the Paralympics had a better understanding in America. The one thing that disappointed me about London was the sound of crickets when we came home. Basically, it was the provider who was supposed to have us at least on their internet channel pulled out completely. So it was like 2 weekly 1-hour shows. And after everything was over, there was going to be like a 2.5-hour special on on the Ocho, the most obscure sports channel, like in the 500s or whatever on the cable listing. And in other countries, Paralympians are hugely respected, and their efforts are known. When we were in London, Channel 4, on BBC Channel 4, had the Paralympics on 24/7, the same way that they had the Olympics on. And they did a study, and the English people, I should say, perception of people with disabilities changed so much because they were exposed to the Paralympics, and that they realized, people with disabilities can do stuff. People with disabilities are people like me. People with disabilities are people. And to have that level of understanding here in the States would be outstanding. You know, instead of people, you know, sitting in handicapped spots because it's close to the door and they don't feel like walking, or they drop somebody off and, you know, I'm just going to be here a minute. And, or why do I have to have this? Oh, it drives me nuts. Why do I have to have this ramp here? You know, why, you know, what, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, to see like, well, yeah, you know, if you have this ramp, you're going to get money from me because I'm going to shop in your store or eat in your restaurant. You know, my money is just as good as some able-bodied person's money. You would do well to be accommodating, because, you know, it gets around that these people are horrible. I mean, I just had a person who is a vet in a wheelchair, has a service dog, plays music, has played music at this restaurant, and recently went in to get a sandwich for lunch and was turned away because of his service dog, which is so illegal.
Wow.
It's, you know, it's federal. This is a federal law. We could lose our license because we can't have an animal in the establishment. And you just want to smack the stupid right out of them. 25 years after the ADA, and this guy who is a restaurant manager, doesn't understand the laws of service animals.
That's really unfortunate.
It's ridiculous. And of course, the only way for disabled people to kind of get things, you know, like, okay, you know, your ramp, you need a ramp for this place. There's no curb cut. You know, my service dog and I were turned away from eating at this restaurant. We have to sue. There's no government agency that actually, you know, fines businesses or whatever. You actually have to be the disabled people have to be the one who have to go out there and sue these people, sue the businesses, in order for change to happen, which is a huge hassle. So I think if we could just, you know, have Paralympic sport on, you know, American television, you know, and an accessible cable channel number, you know, not in the 600s or whatever, I think it would really change people's perception of people with disabilities so much, and just, you know, and stop, you know, I can stop saying, well, you're such an inspiration. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm a person, you know. I'm not here to inspire you. I'm glad that I do. That's great. But, you know, I'm off living my life because I want to live my life, you know, not so that I can, you know, make you, you know, go do jazzercise or Zumba or something because you have legs. You know.
See, that's what's inspiring is you know, you've decided to go and live your life, and a lot of people are living in fear.
Yeah.
And so when
they do live in fear.
Someone that's like, I'm going for it, and then that person may have more challenges than the other person, it's like, wow, awesome. What am I looking at? I should be taking on, you know, some stuff in my life to go where I want.
Yeah. And so I'll take being an inspiration, you know, to move to the good, but don't call me an inspiration because you pity me, you know, kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's a difference. And also so that people who have disabilities who are not in connection with resources that that can, you know, help them in ways that they didn't know they could. Because, you know, there's like, so, you know, see a disabled person, I'm like, oh yeah, well, what sport do you play? I'm like, sport? I can't play a sport. I'm disabled. I'm like, really? You know, and you need to go to teamusa.org/Parapan Paralympics, you need to check this out and have their eyes opened. I mean, so many people who have disabilities don't know that they can do a lot more that they can do. You know, they might be isolated in smaller communities, or just financial things that hold them back, or just sadness, depression, isolation. It's just so that they know they're not alone. I think because U.S. Paralympics does so much as outreach. You know, I've done Paralympic sport programs and to let disabled people know, like, here, you can do stuff. And they're awesome to do. I mean, I got to play wheelchair tennis. I suck at it, but I got to be in a tennis wheelchair, which was for me like dancing again. I was like, this is awesome. And not to make my own wheelchair jealous or anything. I still love Nigel. His name is Nigel because he's sparkly and he's special. But I have names for everything. My bows have names. My
flames.
Names.
Flames on.
Oh,
flames.
They have names.
No, I was saying like flame because you like fire.
Oh, well, yeah. There's that. But no, yeah, there's flames on. Nigel has flames. He's decorated nicely. I
was talking to one of my adult students. He called me up the other day, and I haven't seen him in a while, so I was like, "Are you shooting?" And he said, "No, because I have crutches right now." I'm like, you can sit and shoot. He's like, oh. He goes, well, I had a swivel chair. I'm like, no. You don't want a swivel chair. You want a chair that has a foundation. And we talked about it, and I didn't know, what your disability was, but I told him that I was we're going to be on the show together, me and you, a gold medalist Paralympic. I can't even say it. And I said, look, and he just got so inspired just by, I was like, oh, he realized, yeah, I can continue shooting sitting down. I think what happens is that people who don't have any injuries and all of a sudden their shoulder, their finger, their feet, and they think, well, I can't do anything. I'm like, seriously? Get over it. Well, okay, I don't say it like that, but, think outside the box.
Yeah, yeah.
And
disabled people think outside the box a lot just to kind of get through the day. I mean, I am lucky. I'm still walking, and I have my wheelchair so that, I will continue to be able to walk, longer into the future. But there's times when I have to kind of think outside the box and able to get stuff done and so, I mean, you have to get creative about stuff. And, and the creativity that I've seen with, just like an archery stool, I've seen so many different kinds of archery stools. It's amazing, the things that people think up. It's awesome. I mean, I sit on a drum throne.
That sounds so cool.
And it's so cushy. I love my stool. A drum throne is built to sit on for long periods of time, and it's kind of shaped so that there's a place for your thighs to kind of go and everything, and of course it's red velvet, and it works, and I've had classifiers say, well, you might want to widen your base because for safety, and because I have fallen off the thing a time or two. It's not a camp or competition if I haven't fallen, somehow. But I've seen things that are made out of like aircraft aluminum and titanium and house chairs, and this thing folds up and it's great and it's like fits in the suitcase. I'm like, it's brilliant. And so I mean, it's pretty cool seeing the creativity that comes about because, you know, I need something so that I can shoot a bow. And then, you know, maybe a team of people get together and poof, something magical has occurred. You know, there was teamwork, there was creativity and inclusivity. You know,
how do you when you're sitting and you're shooting, have your stability so that you can really use your back muscles?
It's hard. It's a lot harder to shoot sitting down. It is hard. It's better than falling, I have to say.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm standing up to shoot, like I'll stand up to shoot indoor just because I don't have the string clearance, because it hits my leg, when I'm sitting down, and it's flat. There's no, you know, it's not grass. There's no turf. There's no surprises as to, you know, trip hazards or anything. And there's a lot of people there to catch me if I fall. So, I stand up to shoot inside. Mm-hmm. But you can see me waving back and forth a little bit. I'm like, okay, I'm going to let down and start over. But sitting down, it is harder to shoot. And here's a good thing to do with your students. Get everybody to sit down and pick their feet up off the ground and try to shoot. And that's what it's like trying to shoot from a wheelchair as a paraplegic.
Wow.
There is no stability. You know, your stability is the fit of your body in your wheelchair. Mm-hmm. But basically, you know, your legs get taken out of the equation. A lot of your hips. So there's a lot of of that is in your draw that you don't realize until you go to sit down. My spine doc is, you know, he's like, you know, you got to be more careful because all of a sudden, you know, you're not getting anything from your legs. So, you know, you can really pull on your back muscles and everything. And so, a lot of it is practice. And my upper back got much stronger. Mm-hmm. As evidenced by when I went back to an office job this spring. I went to go put on my office clothes, and I can't get my arms in the sleeves. I put one shirt on, couldn't button it.
Buff. You became buff.
I got buff. So I went into my husband and I was like, look, and I squeezed my arms in front of me and I ripped the shirt apart like the Hulk. It was so funny. Hulk smash, grrr, you know.
That was awesome.
Oh, it was great. I got pictures of the shirt on Facebook. It's hysterical. So you know, my upper back got a lot stronger with that, and I continue to try to work on my core to kind of keep my core strong so that it will hold me up sitting down. But yeah, it's definitely harder, but it's safer for me, you know, and for a lot of archers that you know, it's, you know, because I've actually sat in my stool and been blown over by the wind in England, so that I landed on somebody else's wheelchair footplate. And
oh, jeez.
It just like totally just took me backwards, and I'm like, oh, and Russell looks down at me and goes, hey, how you doing? I'm like, and I go, grab the bow. Of course, first instinct, the bow.
Yep.
And they help me up, and I'm like, no, put me back down. And let me lay here a minute, collect my thoughts. And I wasn't going to be allowed to shoot any more practice. But my coach, she's like, because, I mean, it was windy. England is notorious for being windy. I was like, well, what if I shot from my wheelchair? And she's like, okay. So, you know, it's okay. I get to shoot from my wheelchair. Yay. But, you know, it was that whole, you know, a little bit of a bargaining process to be able to keep shooting. Because even sometimes, you know, being on a shooting stool is not enough to save you from the weather, unfortunately.
What's the craziest weather day you've ever shot in?
Oh my gosh. I want to say, well, England has had its notables, like when it was one of the hurricanes that turned into a nor'easter. You know, nor'easters cross the Atlantic and then they go to England. So I got to shoot in that hurricane twice. It's like, really? Really?
So you're now Hurricane Lee.
Yeah, right. But and so it's fairly sucky weather, and all of us, you know, quote standing archers going, oh boy, okay, all right, this is crazy. But I think the absolutely weirdest day was the Texas shootout last year. Hot, muggy, beautiful morning, turned ungodly hot. Then storm comes through. I was afraid for my life. I turned my stool upside down. I grabbed my scope, and we're all huddled under the easy up, and I'm in my wheelchair, kind of in the middle of the group, with just my feet sticking out, getting wet. But you know, we're literally holding on for dear life, thinking, is there a tornado coming? Do we need to be worried? You know, that the school actually stopped everybody from shooting. Oh, wow. All of a sudden it stopped, and the sky cleared up, and it was beautiful. And then it got really crazy hot and muggy again, and then the barometer was doing something, and I wound up, like, barely making it back to my hotel room before the migraine hit me and put me down. I mean, it was just the weirdest. It was such a long day, and it was horrible. And it was and it was not too it wasn't too long after I got back from Toronto, where I had lost my classification. So I'm all in a kind of a cranky mood. I don't want to practice. But I was in a lot of pain from falling in Toronto, and I was like, God, why is it so hard to shoot? You know, and then you go look at the X-ray of my neck, it would be why it was so hard to shoot. You know, so yeah, you know, pile that on top of the crazy weather. I mean, it's just. I mean, I was surprised that the targets stayed put. I mean, they were whoever staked those bad boys down was just a master of target stabilization, because I am impressed that they were still there when the wind. I mean, I'm looking to see if houses and witches are going to be flying by. You know, I mean, it was some crazy wind. That was a crazy day.
What did you end up placing in London?
I ended up 9th. I had a bit of I had some bad luck in my second match, and it's I think the matches are on YouTube now, and I want to say they are either on World Archery's channel. I'm pretty sure they're on U.S. Paralympics channel. And what happened was you had a lot less archers shooting than in the Olympics. I remember.
Lee, you're disappearing. Hello?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Okay, that was weird.
You sound much better, actually. I mean, you sound louder.
Okay.
Now.
Oh, that was weird. I must have moved the cord weird. I will sit myself back down. I don't know if you watched any of the Olympics online for London.
Yeah, I did. I watched. Yes, I did.
So you saw how it was all the head-to-head matches treated like medal matches. You know, from the 164th on, it was just two people on a time going through, and it took days to get through all that. Well, they didn't quite do it that way for us. Up until, I want to say, the quarterfinals, they were doing 2 matches at the same time with that same kind of medal match format. So you had 4 shot clocks going. You had a shot clock for 2 shot clocks for, say, match A on the left, and 2 shot clocks for match B on the right, one for each archer. And they would do video and commentary alternating for each match.
Mm-hmm.
So I was up against a girl from China and a girl from Great Britain, Sharon, was up against the lady from Mongolia. So it was really awesome having somebody from Great Britain, because crowds were just awesome. I mean, just so enthusiastic, and it was really great. And the only problem is that a lot of be a lot of noise, but it was no big deal because they were shooting. The first thing that happened was, they have 2 matches going on, so you get 2 sets of shot clocks, but you also have the main clock for, 2 whistles, single whistle, triple whistle. People come up and score, down at the target, and I'm shooting, and my shot clock just comes up. I got 20 seconds, and the triple whistle blows because they've been paying attention to the other match from Great Britain. And it's like, George, and I'm supposed to shoot. Like, my shot clock's counting down. And then I see my coach's head pop up, because she's coming to score arrows. And, there was the whole big kerfluffle, and he's talking to people on his radio, and, it's going on. And I was like, oh, my God, what's going on? And so, like, George, and, it's obvious, the shot clock's still going. Because, we were just running a little slower than the match to the other side. And I wound up having to shoot my arrow. I got to shoot my arrow, got my shot clock. Everybody's watching. Which I'm like,
oh, jeez.
There's nothing like doing, And I'm like, oh, okay, I can do this. Just take a deep breath. And
I have to take a deep breath now, too, just thinking of it.
So I'm like, okay, I can do this. Boom. Bang, a 9. Yay! I win that set. And so and everybody's like, yay, woo! So, and that's great, and everything. And then, so the girl from China and I are battling it back and forth pretty tight. And when Sharon from Great Britain wins her match, and the stadium, goes down along the side of the field. It's not like, there's just people behind us. They're down on either side. Mm-hmm. And when she wins, people started taking pictures. Somebody had a flash. And
oh, no.
Oh, yeah. I'm at full draw. And it was like, and it was like right, it was like right, like it was right in my face. I mean, it was like perfectly placed to just go, and I miss. I had a miss. Are you kidding me? What? And I have that after, I have that burn on my retina, and I'm like, I now I can't see. What do I? I'm freaking out, and the coach that was there that was kind of behind me didn't have the right approach to the mental game that he should have. It was more he kept saying, how bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? I was like, obviously I want it bad. I've sacrificed everything to get here. But
right, but right now you're blinded, missed the target.
Just shoot your shot. Just shoot your shot. And so, and that tied up the sets. Because I was in the lead at that point, so that tied us up, and it came down to the last set, and he's like, "How bad do you want it?" And I just, I pushed my arrow, just the last arrow, just pushed it too hard, and because and as they say, every arrow counts, and so I lost, and it was like, it was so close,
Mm-hmm.
Turns out the girl from China goes on to win the gold. And I'm like, you're, and it was bad luck. I didn't train to have camera flashes going off in my face. We've actually worked on that. We didn't plan on, the officials screwing up the clocks. We've since worked on that, But,
yep.
but I mean, so I wound up getting ninth, and I had won in Guadalajara, but it was a much smaller pool of people. In Argentina, in 2014, I got to win the Parapan Am Championships, and it was a bigger pool of people, and that was a lot of fun, and that was great. So I keep creeping up there and getting closer, sixth at World Championships, and then it all came to a screeching halt in Toronto when they said, "Well, you're disabled, but not disabled enough." So
What does that mean?
Well, that the International Paralympic Committee has a classification system, and they determine how disabled you are, and that puts you in a class so that it keeps the playing field level, that you're competing against people with kind of the same level of disability that you have. And for archery, it's not really much in the way of distinction. There's compound and there's recurve, off you go.
Mm-hmm.
But since London, there has been an effort to remove archers deemed not disabled enough. And a lot of it is because of the Russian standing men who swept the podium in London, who one of whom didn't know what his disability was when asked in an interview. The guy who won gold hopped a fence, like this metal crowd barrier kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of hopped that to be in the crowd, and he's not an amputee. So, I can hop a fence. So, and now when you hear about the Russian doping scandal, and, they're moving events, athletic events from Russia to other countries, and, athletics might not be able to compete in Rio, you go, those three men who were in the London podium have since lost their classification. We call it declassified. They're declassified.
Yeah.
And it has been a bloodbath of archers since. They have gotten rid of people who, I know of one woman who is in the W1 class, which is upper and lower body disability, who lives in a wheelchair, has some control over legs and arms, but not great, being told that she's not disabled enough and she should compete able-bodied. She's from the Netherlands. We have a gentleman who has 6 pins in one shoulder. He has, and it's a point system, and he's like, the point system is you have to have at least 25 points, lower body or upper body. They count trunk points. I don't know if trunk points count, but it seems that there's been a systematic that's a good word that's polite to say in a podcast. It seems like that if you're not the right kind of disabled person, that they want you out.
Okay.
World Archery is pretty much just, in my opinion, lost its mind. People who are genuinely disabled, but your disability's name, your condition's name's not on the list that we care about, so you're out. You're disabled. I went from in April of last year going through a classification, which hurt, and they have a new form that says, well, we're going to cause you pain, and we're not going to stop because pain doesn't count, so we don't care. And if it hurts too much and we have to stop, then you don't get to get your classification. You're going to have to go through it again until you can suffer through. I mean, the one woman from the Netherlands that I talked about, her first classification in 2009, they dislocated her shoulder and broke her wrist in her classification, and then was expected to compete. But she didn't know about it because she was too numb to tell exactly what was wrong until she got home and got x-rayed. So pain doesn't count. Okay, fine. So they're allowed to basically torture you. And the classifiers are people who are not necessarily any kind of medical professional. They may or may not be archers. They take a class, and boom, you're a classifier. They take a class with World Archery, and they're a classifier. It's like, getting a certificate. I think, somebody might be a massage therapist. I don't consider that a masseuse necessarily a medical professional. But I went to the Pan Ams, the Parapan Ams in Toronto. I'm told that, your adaptive devices aren't on your classification form, so we have to classify you again. So when in Arizona, when I had been classified, they had told me, and I'm like, do you need to see my leg braces? No, we've watched you. I saw you in Argentina last year, we know. And, I have to wear an orthotic on one leg to keep the foot from dragging too bad, and pulling me down, and the other side has a knee brace because I have no ACL on that side. If only I had a good leg to stand on. It's my running joke. If only I had a good leg to stand on. So, I'm told that, with my balance problems, because, I'm falling all over the place, as I do, that they probably by 2020 would classify me that I should be shooting from a wheelchair. It would be a choice, but, that choice would be open to me instead of just shooting from the stool. They recommended widening the wheelbase of my shooting stool because they think it's kind of narrow. So they've seen me. They've watched me shoot. They watched me wander around, the competition field or whatever, So they know what my stool looks like, so on and so forth. So I went from being told that you might have to shoot from a wheelchair by the time 2020 Tokyo rolls around in April, and then in August being told, well, you shouldn't be on the Paralympic team. You should be on the Olympic team. You're disabled, but not disabled enough. And
so how are you going to be shooting in Rio?
Well, I have had a change in my medical status. Thanks to the fall that I had in Toronto the day before my classification. So these people who are classifying me, and saying, oh, your arms are fine. Meanwhile, it's documented through my physical therapist that my grip on my string hand was half as strong as the other side. How do you miss this? I mean, that's kind of a big deal to me, that, you have an injury and they're like, yeah, you're fine. Because they went, in my opinion, they went into that classification knowing their results. I'm not an amputee. I'm not a paraplegic. I'm not a wheelchair full time, then, and this is not politically correct, but the heck with that.
Go for it.
The phrase that my husband came up with is camera ready cripple. That if that disabled person doesn't look disabled to somebody who's just kind of watching on TV, then that we don't want them, we don't want people, well, what's their disability? They want it to be obvious. Well, I mean, an amputee could wear long pants and you're never going to know.
Yep.
But it's been a bloodbath in the standing divisions that, people with radial neuropathy, well, because you shoot on your stool, it really negates your disability, so you're not disabled enough. To, people like me who went through several classifications, the only thing on my form on those classifications is my shooting stool. Meanwhile, I've been wearing my leg braces, the entire time. To Toronto's, well, your leg braces aren't on your form, so, there's a problem here. It's like, how is that a problem? It's never been a problem. It's been like this for years, literally. So, it's kind of speaks to kind of a political process that going on in world archery that they, and IPC, I think, is turning a blind eye because, they don't want to have the rep of, there's people that are gaming the system, and there may have been people gaming the system. And we kind of know who they are, and luckily they're gone, but they really have gone so far in the other direction of excluding people who are genuinely disabled and whose disability interferes with their ability to do archery. And that's what it says on the classification form. Does your condition, disease, or defect interfere with your ability to do archery? If I can't stand up straight to shoot, I think that interferes with my ability to do archery. If I'm lucky to be able to sit on my stool without falling off, I think that interferes with my ability to do archery.
Yep.
So I'm going to Arizona Cup. I'm gonna, present my medical status as like I want to be reclassified. Let's go through this process again. My husband's very concerned that they will damage my neck because it'll still be in a delicate state of healing. But, even my doctor's like, this is absurd. It's just, really ridiculous to have that happen. And so, and then come home, go to Texas Shootout, Olympic trials. Well, he told me I should be on the Olympic team, not the Paralympic team. So obviously it's just as easy as that. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. And everybody was, I think, meaning well, but grieving in their own way. Like how could they do that to you? How can they say that? I don't understand. I'm so sorry. And it was, walk 5 feet and this conversation would happen again. Walk 5 feet and that conversation would happen again. And after a while, you're just like, dude, please just stop. I'm trying to shoot. I'm trying to compete. I'm in incredible pain in areas that I've never had pain before. My hands aren't doing what I want them to do. And archery, if you're going to shoot with your hands, you really kind of need them. They're really helpful. And having this mental burden of, I'm like, you guys got to deal with your grief about my situation on your own until we're done. Hashtag Paralympic problems. Which is Audrey Terrell, who is the team's manager for USA Archery, and I came up with that hashtag Paralympic problems. It's like you sustain an injury that will change your medical status for a reclassification, but you have surgery which fixes it, so maybe you're not disabled enough anymore. Hashtag Paralympic problems. I gotta laugh at the absurdity of it, or I will just scream and cry all day. And what was really devastating was I wasn't allowed to be there physically for my team, because they sent me home. So, and everybody in Toronto knows the games go on. Oh, how'd you do? Well, I practiced great, I should have won. I really thought I had a chance at World Championships, of medaling. I mean, it really, it was there. And then to go to, you have to go home. You can't stay. And I get it. I'm sure they've had it, and there's a policy because something happened where somebody lost their classification and they had to go, before, things got out of hand. There was, drama in the scene and everything. But it really hurt to not be there for them.
I need to pause. Oh.
Okay.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to pause for a moment.
Okay.
I think that was a good place for a small break.
Yeah, that's good. That's emotional. Yeah. So, the upside was I got to be a teammate to my teammates from home and tweet and Facebook and all that stuff. So, but, they can't keep me down.
Nice.
They can't. And there's going to be a lot of blowback onto the organizations because they're just, they're really out of control, at this point. And it takes the athletes and the able-bodied athletes too to say, you guys are going too far. We can tell that, this person's disabled and it interferes with their ability to do archery, but you're saying they have to compete able-bodied. You're being ridiculous, So it's going to take all of us speaking up to affect change.
Wow, listeners, boy, has the time just flown by. I've taken half a page of notes, and I want to give you some links so you can follow Lee. She has her Facebook page. Is Team Ford Archery. It's facebook.com/Team Ford Archery. Twitter is Flame Goddess Lee and then it's and Lee Ford Archer. LinkedIn is Lee Ford. Tumblr is Pointy Sticks and Strings, and Instagram is Flame Goddess Lee. And no worries if I just spoke way too quickly. I will have all these links on my blog, The Flying Archer, on the notes for this awesome podcast. What strategies do you have if your equipment breaks in a competition?
That's a really good question because I've had that happen. I think it was nationals 2 years ago. I'm shooting and something's wrong with my top weight stabilizer. Next thing I know, it's popped off in my hand going, and I go, what do I do? Just totally like, what do I do? And friend and behind line's like, call an equipment malfunction. Oh, right. Yes. Call an equipment malfunction. Right. That's what we do. And so it was pretty funny because we're all standing around looking at, it's like the judges and we're all looking at like, dude, this just like broke, like metal fatigue, and there's no putting this back on. And John's like, I think you'll be all right. You don't really need a top weight. It's not going to kill you. I think you'll be all right. And because, judges are usually, they're archers too. And so they're like, yeah, and they're pretty supportive. And, but when stuff breaks, I think the first thing is don't panic, and it's so easy to say.
Yeah, it's so easy to say.
It's so easy to say, because I wasn't in mid-shot. I've actually had where my stabilizer fell off. I shot the arrow, and I do my follow-through, and my stabilizer is on the floor. I'm going, well, how did that happen? That's just crazy. And so to say don't panic is like great, but you gotta have a game plan. First is breathing. You gotta control your breathing. And my husband is former Army, and there's a lot of military on the Paralympic archery team. And so there's some breathing called tactical breathing. And tactical breathing helps tell your limbic system that there is not an emergency going on at the moment, to calm the heck down, and everything's going to be fine. And, you breathe in for 4, you hold for 4, you breathe out for 6, you repeat, breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 6. And it's amazing. A few cycles of that, and you go, oh, okay. Your heart rate slows, blood pressure drops. You sing Teapot Song if you have to, but it's like, equipment's fixable. Let the coach do it if they're there. And it's amazing. If somebody's bow breaks, how people will just jump in. Oh, I have a thing. Do you need a screwdriver? I got an Allen key. I have a washer. Because everybody realizes, without your equipment, you're all of a sudden not an archer. You're a spectator. And they want to help you get in with that. So, it's kind of cool thing about the archery community. So it's really, breathing is huge. It's a huge thing that, I think helps. And also having a plan, having backups, maybe you don't have a backup bow, but maybe you have an extra set of a whole bunch of stuff, that you can, little doodads, you have extra little screws and set screws and washers, and, you have a nylon washer and a lock washer and, this, that, and the other to help you, fix whatever needs to be fixed. Loctite. I'm a big fan of Loctite.
Those are good.
Love Loctite. So, having some sort of game plan. If something, it's like, well, what are you gonna get? So you have stuff. Archery is an equipment-intensive sport. We all know that. So, if something happens, have your plan. And I've seen. I think this was one of my first Arizona Cup, and somebody's limbs broke, like at full draw. Guy from the Netherlands.
Talk about a bow exploding.
Oh my God. And this was before they stopped doing the fetas. So, it was like all the women are on one side and all the men were on the other side still. Instead of recurves on one side, compounds on the other. And so, even that far away, it was a horrifying sound. and he's
Did you end up having complete silence over the entire line after
everybody's
that?
Like, oh, you hear everybody go, oh, and watched him stomp the other limb off of the riser. He was angry. He was an angry kid. And just and turns out somebody had the same pound limbs and the same length. Like, here you go. Restrung his bow with these limbs, kept on shooting. It's just like, I was a baby archer then. I was just blown away by that kind of composure. But, You know, you get time to have an equipment failure. Fix your equipment, breathe, and then get back to shooting. Don't feel like you have to rush, yourself back in. Let yourself, regain your composure,
And remember to breathe.
Remembering to breathe. I'm really good at breathing. I'm a big fan of it. And, and discovering tactical breathings helped in so many situations of, in other parts of life where, you encounter incredible stupidity and you refrain from choking someone to death because I'm going to tactical breathe now. So, having backup plan, and I think that's the big things for when you have an equipment failure, for sure.
What about food? What kind of food do you eat on the day of a shoot, and how does it impact you?
I try to have a really good protein-filled breakfast, for sure. And which is hard because sometimes the hotels, it's nothing but bagels and waffles. Yeah. The waffle iron. The ubiquitous waffle iron. And I'm celiac, so I can't eat any of that junk anyway. Mm-hmm. So, the hotels that have the, even if they're the cheesy breakfast omelet things and some bacon, bacon is an important food group to me.
I agree. Totally.
Yeah. Way better than crystal meth. And so, I try to have a lot of protein, for breakfast, to give me a good base that's going to stick with me, along with something that's a carbohydrate that I can have, like oatmeal. And then during the day, trail mix is my friend. I'm a big fan of trail mix. You've got fruits, nuts, maybe bits of chocolate to keep your energy levels up. Because your brain burns I think your brain burns the most calories out of any other organ in your body.
Yep.
And if archery is 90% mental, that little brain is just chugging away. And
that's why I'm so hungry after I shoot.
Exactly. Yes, it is.
And after I teach for 2 hours, man, I can go have this huge meal.
I could eat half a cow,
Oh, me too. I'll have the other half.
Right. All right. Sold. Yeah. Your brain burns the most calories out of any organ in the body. I mean, that's why, archers' favorite shape happens to be round, because we're eating in response to a caloric drain that is substantial. But you got to eat smart, So, a lot of people are, we're not runners, so don't carbo load the night before. Yeah. But I'm a big fan of beef jerky, keep protein with you. You can make sure you have electrolytes, either with or without calories to them. Because, we're a summer sport, it's going to be hot, you're sweating. Keeping your electrolyte levels up is really, really important. And just nosh. And not that you're going to, there's a break, so I'm going to eat this big, heavy thing.
Or the pizza that they're selling on the side there.
Oh, not unless it's Indian tacos. Then I'll be like, okay.
Oh, my God.
Love
Indian
my
tacos.
Indian tacos with in their corn, with the baked and the thing. Oh, my God, so good. Anyhow. Good times. Good times.
Yeah, I'm getting hungry now.
Is it lunchtime? Have I eaten today? No, actually.
What time zone are you in?
I'm Eastern. I'm in Georgia.
Hi. It's almost dinner.
Yeah, it's almost dinner. So, trying to keep your blood sugar levels from spiking and dropping is good, because if you eat a big, heavy lunch and you still have to compete the second half of the day, you're going to have a lot of blood in your digestive system and not in your head where you need it. So, and then you go, why can't I concentrate? Well, it's because, your
It's nap time.
It's nap time, So, keeping it even on an even keel is a really important thing to think about. So that you've been snacking all morning, so you have a little bitty lunch and you snack in the afternoon, and then when you get when you're done, then you can go and have your half a cow that you need to eat. And that's basically how I approach. And I
try to do caffeine.
I do not do caffeine on competition days. I don't drink soda for the most part.
No, me neither. Good for you.
I thank you. I was a total Diet Coke addict for a long time, and I gave it up. And
the Diet Cokes are even worse.
They're worse. They're higher in caffeine than a regular Coke.
Are they
Coke
really?
Zero, they are. Well, to make up for the sugar. Where are you going to get energy from? Coke Zero is lower in caffeine than Diet Coke, so I will occasionally have a Coke Zero because the weird thing is Coca-Cola settles my stomach. I have Crohn's disease, so I'll get an upset stomach. You look at me funny, so I've got to have my Tums with me. When we travel, it's like I gotta get Tums. I gotta have this. Will I have a bottle of Pepto?
You have a checklist.
I have a checklist. Where's the Imodium? All of it. And, well, stress does things to the body, and off you go to the races. And, when you can't run to the bathroom, it's an issue. So, eating, before competition is important too, so that, you're not eating something that's going to be a trigger, for you. So that's kind of my game plan for that.
How would you describe shooting an arrow to somebody who has never shot before?
Dude, it's so cool.
Oh, you broke up there. Say that again.
I think I'd say, dude, it is so cool. It's the coolest thing you'll ever do. I think I would describe it as, you imagine the beauty and elegance that you just witnessed of someone teaching you to shoot. Want to do that.
You're cutting out.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm moving the iPad around.
I'm going to ask you the question again.
Okay.
And I'll let you know if you're cutting out or not. But maybe put the iPad down.
Okay. The iPad is down. I am so sorry.
You have to throw it.
I think I would tell somebody that shooting an arrow it's exhilarating, it's challenging. You're feeling the tension in the string, you feel the tension in the bow. You have that power that you've built up. And the release can be such a surprise, and it's always fun watching students' faces when they do let go of the string for the first time. They're like, oh my gosh. Oh wow, that was so cool, and I'm like, I know, it's so cool. That's what we do. It's a martial art, and so you have that element of discipline to it and everything. But it's like, dude, it's fun. It's a lot of fun, and if you don't try it, you're missing out. So I think that's pretty much how I describe it. Besides, like, dude, it's so much fun, So that's a big fallback.
That is so beautiful. Wow, I just looked at the time. Lee, you've been a wonderful guest. Can you leave us with a pearl of wisdom?
Wow, no pressure.
I know, that wasn't on the questions I sent you.
Sure, I can leave it with a pearl of wisdom. And this may have come up with Jim about relationships determine results. Did you guys talk about that at all?
I don't believe we did on that podcast.
Oh, good. So then I get to talk about it.
Okay.
in life, in archery, in the business, and in anything that you do, relationships determine results. RDR. If you are good to the people around you, the people around you will be good to you. If you're good to the people whose bow you shoot, they're going to be good to you. If you're good to your teammates, they're going to be good to you. Everything that you do is determined by the relationships in your life, whether they're work relationships, archery, your family. But if you want results that are outstanding, be an outstanding person to those people around you. Because I'll tell you what, nobody gets on a podium by themselves. You know, you might be the one shooting that bow, but I guarantee you there's a team of people behind you that were there for you, from, say, parents who paid for lessons, drove you places, friends who encouraged you, bosses who are understanding of your need to disappear for tournaments, you know. Relationships determine
across
results.
the world.
I got to go to Argentina. I'll see y'all in like a week and a half, you know, flying out, hitting Mexico on the way back, you know, got this
just got the Olympic Games on the way, yeah.
You know, I'm gonna go swing by Rio, you know, might be gone for like 3 weeks or more. But it's true, and this is what, you know, my coach taught me, and it is so true. It is so true. And my life has been incredibly blessed from archery. But the most important thing I've learned is that relationships determine results. That is the best thing that I have learned because of archery, and I'm intensely grateful for it. I hope that was enough of a pearl of wisdom.
That was wonderful, Lee.
Thank
you. And I'm very grateful to have you on the show. And all of our links and resources will be on our show notes at our blog, theflyingarcher.com.
That is awesome. That is awesome. It was so great to talk to you too, Lucy. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
No. Thank you.
No. Thank you.
Well, I hope everybody has an awesome day after listening to this, and you have an awesome rest of today.
Awesome!
Yay!